Well, the World Organization on October the 6th last week, 2021, had a breakthrough moment in the world. They hailed the United Nations agency as a historic moment for the discovery of and making of a new vaccine for children when it comes to malaria. Here's what the WHO chief, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, had to say about the malaria vaccine.
WHO is recommending the broad use of the world's first malaria vaccine. This recommendation is based on results from an ongoing pilot program in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi that has reached more than 800,000 children since 2019. This long-awaited malaria vaccine is a breakthrough for science, child health, and malaria control. Using this vaccine in addition to existing tools to prevent malaria could save tens of thousands of young lives each year. Malaria has been with us for millennia, and the dream of a malaria vaccine has been a long-held but unattainable dream. Today, the RTSS malaria vaccine, more than 30 years in the making, changes the course of public health history. We still have a very long road to travel.
Well, that's the WHO chief, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, speaking on the new vaccine when it comes to malaria for children. And the first rollout will be in Africa, Kenya. Also, WHO Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Mashidiso Moeti, said the approval of the RTS-SA-SO1 vaccine, which goes by the name Mosquirix, provides a glimmer of hope for Africa.
Now, the vaccine is set to be rolled out to protect children against one of the world's oldest and most deadly diseases. Now, to discuss the rollout and what it means for Africa in the fight against malaria, we have joining us this morning Dr. Tuyi Mabewundo, a public health policy expert. Good morning, doctor. Welcome to the program. Now, how big a killer is malaria, and why is this vaccine rollout seen as a major development?
Thank you. In about 120 countries and affecting more than 200 million people, malaria kills as much as 500,000 people every year. Majority of them in sub-Saharan Africa, and mainly children and pregnant women. So what we're seeing is that this tool of the vaccine is going to actually help further in pushing forward malaria elimination by the year 2030. We hope it's going to help. But there are challenges, and we hope that we can overcome those challenges, because malaria leads to as much as 12 billion loss in finances worldwide. At least most of them in Southern Africa. As much as 270,000 children are killed every year because of the malaria. So if you now factor in the loss from work, economy, and all that, it could even be higher. So battling malaria has become a major challenge in sub-Saharan Africa. And then enters this vaccine trial, which has been on for about 30 years and has cost the donors close to $1 billion in trying to do the trial. 2.3 million doses of that vaccine has been given, and since the trial began in 3 countries, Kenya, Malawi, and Ghana. And then 800,000 children have actually been given this vaccine. So we see how it goes. But the major challenge is this. Vaccine alone may not achieve those goals we want to achieve in terms of malaria control if they're not combined with a lot of things. First and foremost, let's understand that the majority of sub-Saharan Africa, the health system is broken. A broken health system means that you don't have the requisite human resources for health to push and drive this campaign. Secondly, fund is involved. It's going to cost as much as close to $400 million to actually give this vaccine for a year in 10 countries in Africa where these malarias are quite hurting people and very endemic. So money is involved, human resources involved, and then we need to actually not deter. We need to not slow down on other malaria control plans. That means that appropriate diagnosis, relevant chemotherapy, insecticide-treatedness, vectors control, indoor residual spraying.
Right.
We need to combine all these things together if we want to have the desired effect of these vaccines, because the vaccine is just about 30% effective. But it also opened a vista for us to be able to look at deployment of vaccine going forward for malaria. Now, it means that probably, having opened the door, the likelihood of using the mRNA vaccines to further deal in this malaria research is there, and then that should be more effective.
Dr. T, you just talked about how malaria has been with us for so long. It's still an endemic problem in many countries, particularly in Africa here. So why did it take so long to get a malaria vaccine? Why did it take so long, over 30 years in trials? Is it because it was most seen like an African problem? Why?
Yeah, exactly. You got it. When malaria went around the world the first time, they were able to control the malaria and push it back, even eliminate it in quite a lot of places. But the thing got retained in Africa because of our lackadaisical attitude to the disease, killing a lot of children and maiming them in terms of malaria, causing anemia, causing malnutrition, causing death in pregnancy. This is one of the diseases of the developing world, let's put it that way, because, and then we are not doing enough research on malaria. So when a disease becomes that of developing world and it's not hurting the big pharma, it's not actually their problem. Because first and foremost, to do this research, look at what the research has done. 30 years of intensive research, a lot of money being involved. At the time, we thought that we won't be able to get a vaccine. They're going to spend money. Who's going to pay the money back? We are now relying on likes of Gavi, Global Alliance of Vaccine Initiative. We are relying on Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation to bring out money, and partners to bring out money for us to use. So money is key. Scientific competence, especially in Sub-Saharan Africa, is also a challenging problem. So that is why, you see, they just left the malaria for us and tried to bring drugs for us to treat the malaria without going into research.
Right.
So we hope we have a glimmer of hope now.
Right. Now, Doctor, you talked about the efficacy in terms of combining the vaccine with other kinds of treatments. Now, some people have come out to talk about the challenge or the threat it will have to the 300 billion naira malaria treatment industry. Now, we already know that malaria it's almost like a norm in this part of the world. And people on average spend 3,000 naira to treat themselves. Now, according to reports, there's been over 1 million cases that is being treated yearly with malaria and anti-malaria medication. Don't you think this vaccine will come as a threat to this 300 billion naira industry in Nigeria yearly?
Well, again, it's not going to be a threat because in pharmaceuticals, for instance, there are plenty of diseases that actually, if they want to make money, can make money from. But health is not, in a way, a thing to make money from. And then we've eradicated diseases. We did that with polio. We did that with smallpox. And more diseases are actually, put up for eradication. When, of course, hepatitis is up for eradication. Malaria, we're looking for elimination by 2030. So many diseases are put up like that. But still, the demographic change shows that as you eliminate this, another challenges also crop up. So there are too many things to deal with the pharmaceutical industry. So it can't be such that because you've eliminated malaria or you deal with this through a vaccine, then there won't be anything for the pharma industries. Because if you look at it, you look at all those developed countries or organized countries, I used to call them, where there are no cases of malaria, the farmers are making huge money. So malaria being eradicated would not make any difference.
Right, Dr. T, just before we let you go, this Moxkiris vaccine requires up to 4 doses, we hear, for children, and its protection fades after several months. Could you clarify for us on this, about the doses and the efficacy of these vaccines, especially for these children under 5 who receive it around different parts of Africa?
Yes, this is the first, after the trial for some years, for many years, this is the first time where it's been approved for rollout. Yes, 30% efficacy. We still need to make it effective, okay? Because deployment is key. And then the strategy is such that during the period of high malaria transmission, especially before the rain or during the rain, you pace those doses in a month's interval. You pace those doses for 3 doses, and then the 4th one at the peak of that malaria transmission. Now, yes, 30% could still save about 25,000 lives in a year, which is a lot because, in a way, By the time you combine this, like I said earlier, it's an instrument, another instrument, the malaria control in a way, or for us to achieve elimination of malaria by 2030. We can't then stop indoor residual spraying. We can't stop sleeping under the net. We can't stop proper diagnosis and prompt treatment of malaria, because we can't stop what we call genomic research to look at those parasites that are getting resistant to insecticide, that are getting resistant to drugs. So those things can be stopped. But the law, the key one here is that we don't want people to say, because I have taken malaria vaccine, then I'm immune from malaria, and then relax on other preventive measures. It's going to be quite challenging if we allow that to happen.
Right.
So
I mean,
it's not eureka yet until we follow through all other protocols to deal with malaria.
Right. Now, Dr. Tuyi, the first dose of the vaccine has been deployed in Kenya. Now, the clips that you're about to see on your screen are now scenes from Yala Sub-County Hospital in Siaya, southwestern Kenya, where mothers brought their children to receive the malaria vaccine against the mosquito-borne disease that kills more than 400,000 people every year. Now, doctor, how soon can we see this vaccine deployed in other parts of the continent of Africa, especially Nigeria?
Well, yeah, that's a very critical question. You may get the vaccine, may be available. First of all, your country needs to request for those vaccines and make provision of process of deploying those vaccines. Secondly, you have to work with the partners, and so that they ensure that the vaccine is given the way they are going to be given. Then thirdly, there must be epidemiological survey and data to figure out how the vaccine is going to work. All those things have to be on ground. You can't just ship vaccines. Especially the vaccine that you have to give as much as 4 doses. You can't then ship the vaccines to a place like Nigeria, where there are doctors on strike, where the public health, primary healthcare system is not working. You can't then ship it there just like that. So, for instance, Mali has requested now for the vaccine, asking questions like, how do we get the vaccine? Okay, so we wait for Nigeria government to figure out how to ask and then put in place those platform for the deployment of the vaccine. It's not sufficient for you to have the vaccine, but you must be able to deploy the vaccine. And what does this require? Human resources for health, logistic, and you see that some parts of Nigeria are actually facing insurgency and instability with a lot of IDPs. So you have to factor in how to deploy this vaccine across all this terrain, and hopefully when the government asks and they put their acts together, then we can come to Nigeria. But I don't think it's going to come very soon. Because initially we're not part of the countries that
Thank you so much, Dr. Tuyi Amamewandu, for your time on Breakfast Central. Always such a delight to have you on the program, public health policy expert, right here on Breakfast Central, telling us all about the malaria vaccine for children, and who knows when we'll get ours for adults as we look forward to it. Well, still Breakfast Central on News Central coming up next on the program.
COVID-19 update from the continent of Africa.
Plus, Kenya and South Seoul make big announcements. We'll tell you all about it today. And the Super Eagles look like they're doing well out there revenging against CAR.